So the next battle in the I don't understand team battle between RE and Sanctuary Alliance, Doryan, who was just brought in, um, part of Team DS, which I disbanded because it was failing and a lot of members were inactive. He brought back, bringing back everyone who was in it before, but unfortunately all those people were still inactive. Doryan decides not to mulligan at all. Zane has to take a second mulligan. Doryan starts by right the perfect guard. So now, after a mild interruption, thank God I have a mic that can mute. Um, Doryan with Gear Chronicles is going up against Aqua Force. On paper, Gear Chronicle does well in this, but at the same time, any bad matchup can be fought against if you know what you're doing. Orthea goes to the back row where it's safe. Because Orthea does have resist, it cannot be targeted for any skills. But attacks aren't skills, and anything that doesn't target is fair game. Doryan rides in the Chrono Jet and calls Bailiff to rearguard. Bailiff is the unit where if you stride over it, it gives the stride the ability to counterblast one and change the heart to Chrono Jet Dragon. It also has a Generation Break 1 skill as a rear guard, which if it hits on Counterblast 1, it can send a front row rear guard to the bottom of the deck, which of course could be very helpful for Doryan. Thavis appears, and Thavis is probably going to kill some rears. I know that rhymed. Didn't intend it, but it happened. I do like the fact that Doryan called the Bailiff to the rear guard, provided he has the ability to stride next turn, which he should. And Zane goes out of his way to make sure 4 battles happen this turn. Well, actually 5, because he wants to get back hand. 26k to Vanguard. And on the third battle, its ability activates. If that unit hits, it will give Zane the ability to draw a card and potentially call another rear. And Doryan is letting it hit. Gives the crit to Vanguard. And Zane is about to have massive, massive hand. Luckily for Doryan, though, only one of Tetra Drive Dragon's rear guard attacks are actually gonna hit, or have the ability to hit, and it's this one. So now one of the 3 rear guards on Doryan's field retires. I don't think Doryan realized that Savas is retiring a rear guard. Thavas is retiring a rear guard, Doryan. Doryan. Doryan, please. Doryan, please. What's going on? Why isn't he doing it? No, it's fourth battle when a vanguard is attacked, when a unit attacks a vanguard. So, yeah, okay. Doran was confused. Davos doesn't give a crap what gets the fourth battle as long as something does. So, Doran decides gonna give Draco Kid as the least needed of his units. And with a Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, Tetra Drive restands. And no, no, Doran, please, no. I'm glad Zahn is nice. Doran, take back the card, thank you. I'm glad Zahn is nice in this situation because he was well within his right to just let that stand even though it couldn't hit. So what are we gonna get for Stride? Upheaval Pegasus. A bit early to do that, but it's not a bad idea. Or Thea gets returned because it's not being targeted. One thing to note, yeah, like Doran is saying, the units get called one at a time, not all at once. Like, you have to check one by one by one. Yeah, it's actually a confirmed ruling. I actually looked at it myself and checked. So, what are we gonna do with this? What are we gonna do about this? Because it's actually true that that is an official ruling. You have to do them one at a time. But they are all considered being called at once, so it's basically Garmore skill. Liberator Garmore skill. I guess technically the fair thing to do would be for him to put them all back in shuffle and then start doing them one at a time from there. And if he asks, I'm gonna say that. Okay, Doran says just go with it. Since this is on recording, I'm just gonna say for future reference, if that happens again, we're just gonna have someone send the units to the send the units back to the deck, reshuffle, and start doing it again. So a total of 5 units will return to the bottom of the deck, so that means that this unit gets 15,000 power. Ishin and Onig, or however you say that word, Gatling gun guy, both hit the field, but they're a little late to the party. Doran attacks with his single most powerful column first, which I was gonna say was a bad move, but then I remembered Bailiff has a skill. And now Ishin can actually activate. So Ishin can't be blocked by grade 0. $26K to the Vanguard. Out of all that hand, I'm almost 100% certain that Zane has a perfect guard, but the question is, does he want to use it here, considering that Ishin can't be blocked with zeros? So he might just drop 3 grade zeros to make this a 3 to pass, and then save the perfect guard for Ishin. Doryan does a check to make sure a DC didn't happen. Okay, so a 2 pass. Doryan gets 1 critical, goes to the rear. And keep in mind, that can't be blocked with zeros, so perfect guard. Really good turn on Doryan's side. It's weird for me to have to say this, but he didn't do anything wrong there. I'm just considering this entire team battle a training session just because a lot of stuff is going wrong. And a lot of stuff is going wrong mostly. And there is Lamberos. A lot of stuff is going wrong just because people are making some misplays. Like, what happened to me happened. It's Vanguard. That kind of stuff just happens. But Edge could have won his fight if he had done a few different things, and Sky could have won his fight if he had done one thing different and remembered power. If I was Doran, I actually would have let that die, just because I know what's coming next. So let's see, he did 1, 2, 3, which didn't do anything, and then 4. Yeah, all the more reason why he should have let Bailiff die when he had the chance, unless Davos was attacking the Vanguard. In which case he did a good job guarding that because he's better off taking this Vanguard attack, hoping that the critical doesn't appear, which it didn't, and then just guarding the next 3 attacks. And yes, I said next 3. That needs 10k, and then he needs another 10k. That's a stand trigger. Right, Doran did say something about doing that. He has a Glimmer Breath in hand. Yeah. Doran had to give up almost all of his hand for that. Considering he knows his opponent's hand, he could actually attack with Chrono Jet and it would hit. No, never mind. Never mind, he doesn't have Generation Break 2. He could do Upheaval Pegasus at this point, and I'm saying this now because he said be right back and has to go for a minute. He could Upheaval Pegasus again, but it doesn't do much. He could Ragnarok, but it's gonna get perfect guarded. I would say Fate Rider is actually his best option. Fate Rider, use its skill, put the grade 1 to the bottom and get a grade 2 out. Glimmer Breath in particular. Use Glimmer Breath skill to return Tidal Assault to the bottom of the deck. Because last turn his opponent drove check into Tetra Drive, Tidal Assault, and Perfect Guard. So if that Tidal Assault goes to the bottom of the deck, he has 5k shield and a Perfect Guard. And that would be the situation. So yeah, honestly, Fate Rider is probably the best bet he has in order to actually pull something out here. Because if he Fate Riders and gets a critical and a triple check, then he could actually win with that. He could actually Fate Rider, Chrono Jet skill, return Dagger, and then use Fate Rider skill, get Glimmer Breath, use Glimmer Breath to return Tidal Assault. That would actually block out 4 battles in the future. And then Fate Rider gives 3k to 1 unit. Which unless he's gonna call that rear guard, then that 1 unit doesn't matter. I'm gonna pause the recording now. And Doryan is back. So he dropped Steam Breath Dragon so he could stride. What is he gonna stride into? Please be Fate Rider. Please be Fate Rider. It's a People Pegasus. God damn it, Doryan. Okay, so this time Zane knows he has to do them one at a time. Now counterblast one and send High Tide Sniper to the bottom. Get the unflip. Really hoping that there's another Glimmer Breath Dragon in the hand or something. Okay, that's good enough actually. Now Doryan does run stand triggers as well. 5k block for that because he has to. Probably perfect guard to the Vanguard. So a stand trigger or a crit trigger ends the game in his favor. Stand trigger. Zane doesn't have any cards in hand to guard anymore. Only a 6th heal keeps him in the game. Or that. Or a draw trigger. Puts Ricky at the bottom of the deck, which is a good decision. He checked Chrono Jet, the draw trigger, and a grade 1. So he has 25k worth of shield. Zane has the top deck. And he doesn't have a good field for this either. Like with his field as it is now, only the Vanguard can hit. Goes into main phase, so he's not striding. Got a crit trigger, decides to call it behind the perfect guard. Probably to take out the rear. Oh no, he's not. So is he gonna... Yeah, Doryan 2 passes. This could be bad. And it's not. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Zane's last hope. Because Doryan does have the ability to stride. If he has Ragnarok in the deck, he can just stride to that and end the fight. Just stride Ragnarok, attack, GG, attack, 2 critical, GG. Yeah, there we go. Ragnarok. Game is over. Zane would have to double 6 heal in order for this not to be over right now. Counter blast, flip 1, 2 crit, and you can't guard with 0, so he can't guard. Glimmer Breath, grade 2, heal trigger. So good game. Doryan wins. Moving on to the next match.